Hey, this is Jeff. Welcome back to Coito Ergo Sum, Let's Talk More Action, a series recommended by 4 out of 5 dentists. For entertainment only, product does not prevent tooth decay. Side effects include head shaking, eye rolling, and outbursts of disagreement. No dentists were actually surveyed. Last week, we convinced CARA to help us make a new body for Fresca, and we need a 3D image to base it on. We could just use her avatar from the simulation, but there are other options. Which brings us to the Slater Mansion. There's a holovid collection in the little bar off the theater with some bestsellers directed by Mo, Jeremy, and Fresca, and Fresca was in some of them. So there's another source for 3D images of Fresca. They're right here on this shelf, along with some other classics. Mo's movies, Jeremy's movies, Fresca's movies. The ones we can use are Red Menace, Ladies' Night, and Double Trouble. She was also in 19th Hole, but you can't use it, presumably because it was her last movie and she hadn't changed that much between then and when she died. And you can learn all that by looking at the Luma screens or various entries on the manager's terminal at Lollipops. Which brings up an interesting point about the simulation. When Courier 6 uses it, your character looks exactly like you do in the real world, including what you were wearing. You just don't have any weapons or your Pip-Boy. I don't think there's any actual dialogue or other lore that explains it, but my theory is it's based on your mental self-image. We know the equipment can read your mind, and they had to make design compromises to make it portable, so it probably didn't have room for a holographic scanner. And even if it did, the pitch to Fresca was that it was for adult entertainment. They had to assume there was a good chance she'd get naked in the simulation, and if it scanned her with her clothes on, it could miss details that would spoil immersion. You know, like, hey, my real body has a birthmark there, or whatever. So my question is, what if your self-image isn't accurate? If you have low self-esteem, you might be more attractive in real life than your avatar. Or, at the opposite end of the spectrum, I might end up with an avatar that's built like Courier Jeff. Although really, that's about right. No, except for the nice pecs, lats, biceps, shoulders. But other than that, spot on. In any case, Fresca looks about the same whether you use her avatar or one of the holotapes. Maybe a little bit younger in her earlier movies, but the difference is subtle, so it might just be my imagination. The only major difference is she has a different hairstyle in each one. Anyway, I'm going to stop at the house on the way back to Cytogenesis, get something to drink, take a nap so I get the XP bonus for being well rested when we complete the quest, and pick up some clothes for Fresca, because obviously she's naked when she steps out of the transfer pod. Oh, and some for CARA, since she wants out of the simulation too. And while we're passing through Lollipops, let's not forget to give Maria the cure.
Hey there.
I learned more about de Leon syndrome. In fact, I heard some people back east found a cure.
Why would I want to be cured of not growing old?
Your looks don't change, but inside, you're growing old a lot faster than normal.
How fast?
You tell me, do you have any unusual symptoms?
Sore muscles, stiff joints, nothing I wouldn't expect from some of the positions I use.
Anything else? It could literally be a matter of life and death.
Headaches, pretty bad sometimes. Chest pains, not as bad, but it seems like I get them more often nowadays. I never told anybody because it makes me sound like an old woman. That's not really the impression I want to give my customers.
Well, if you're really 29, you have 10 years, give or take. If you were lying...
Yeah, so about this cure.
Long story, but I have the cure for de Leon syndrome right here with me.
Well, what are you waiting for?
It completely neutralizes the mutation. You understand what that means?
I'd rather look like a middle-aged woman than a teenage corpse. Let's have it.
Just drink it. It's pretty advanced, replicates itself once it's in your system.
Tastes like water. Are you sure it's right?
We'll know in a couple of days.
Fingers crossed.
Goodbye.
If you get the urge for something sweet and petite, you know where to find me.
And while we're here, I don't remember the last time we gave Leah a checkup. I don't think it actually matters if you do or don't in terms of her and her baby being okay, but I volunteered to be her doctor, so feels like I should.
Hello, doctor. How's the patient?
And examine her with medicine skill. Everything looks normal.
In this context, I suppose normal is a good thing.
I need to get going. Take care.
Thanks. I'll see you later.
Oh, I meant to show you this 2 weeks ago, but I forgot. Here in the fountain, we have Elsa's final resting place. If you missed that episode, Elsa was one of Dr. Carter's co-workers. 120 years after the war, she insisted on going outside to scout for other survivors. Carter was afraid she'd lead raiders back to the lab, so he murdered her with the turrets. If you come up the driveway instead of infiltrating through the security office, you might find her first, in which case you'd probably be a lot more suspicious of Carter right from the start. But I think missing that clue is a small price to pay for the convenience and safety of the alternate entrance. So now we have everything we need. Select DNA extrapolation source. You know, I mentioned this in the old walkthrough, and I'm going to mention it again. You know what Fresquez's avatar looked like in the simulation, but I wish there was a Luma screen or a vintage magazine or something that showed you what she looked like in each of these movies. You have no idea what the result's going to be unless you make a quick save and try it. This is what she looked like in the simulation and presumably 19th hole. The short bangs are my favorite from her rookie secret agent in Red Menace, but I used that in the old walkthrough. In the other ending, she asks you not to use Ladies' Night because she looked like a wreck, but I don't think she looks bad. And she played Double D's neighbor in Double Trouble. Because you always want your pre-war porn star turned director controversy magnet resurrected as a genetically superior pseudo-clone to look like a mild-mannered suburban housewife. Initiate neurorelocation. I mean, what other choice is there, really? Now we just need to talk to her.
Where am I? Who are you?
You're at the cytogenesis cloning facility. I got you out of the simulation.
How did I get here? How long was I out?
A lot happened while you were in the simulation. Your body was gone. Only your mind was left.
What do you mean, gone? Did the hotel burn down while I was in the simulation or something?
No, it's 2281. Your mind was trapped in the simulation the whole time.
That's over 200 years. What took so long? For that matter, how did a simulation save me?
Vault Tech recorded your brainwaves to find Vault L. I just discovered you.
I wouldn't have thought it was possible to feel this violated and grateful at the same time. But if they hadn't recorded me, I'd be dead. I guess everyone else is dead. It's weird. Maybe I'm in shock, but that doesn't hurt as much as it ought to. Okay, bring me up to speed on the rest.
There was a nuclear war in 2077. We haven't completely recovered, but Lollipops is still in business.
So Larry was right. Can't say I'm sorry I missed that. Go on.
A man named Caesar was restoring order following the example of the Roman Empire.
That sounds fun. It's been a while since I attended a good orgy.
There's no debauchery in the Legion, just discipline. And women are treated as property.
Okay, that doesn't sound fun. I'm really not gonna fit in. Wait a minute. If there's no debauchery, why is Lollipop still in business?
Well, that's kind of a long story. One of my prostitutes had a boyfriend who got killed in the war, so she wants me to kill the leaders of both countries for starting it, and I figure if she gets some closure, she might sober up and be a better draw. President of the NCR is a warmonger dick, and while I can't see myself assassinating the lawfully elected leader of a democracy, I can't say I'd shed a bitter tear if he dropped dead either, so... To be honest, anarchy would be better than Caesar's kind of order, because, let's face it, if he ended up in charge, he'd shut us down and have us all hanging from a cross because we're as profligate gets. So, I whacked him. In fact, don't tell anybody, but I'm working on a plan to take over the Mojave myself. If I can't count on any of those governments to leave me in peace, I'm just going to be the government and make the peace. Because, bottom line, Vegas is here to entertain.
You sound like Larry. Well, I know a thing or two about entertainment. You still have movies, don't you?
If Larry sounded like that, it's no wonder they charged him with treason. Anyway, I'd like to get lollipops back into porn, but the closest studio is a competitor in New Reno, Golden Globes.
If the recording gear is gone, we can buy replacements.
And that starts the quest So You Want to Be in Pictures to make movies. Nobody makes that kind of gear anymore. We have to salvage the equipment or build our own.
I'm assuming that means we can't just fly to LA. What about Larry's ranch? He had a studio there too. There was a private rail line connecting the ranch to his offices in LA and Vegas.
I've been there. What do you need?
Let's see. At minimum, I need a camera, lights, an editing console, and a holotape duplication deck. A terminal to write scripts would be easier than pencil and paper. And actors, of course.
I have some of that already. I'll check the ranch for the rest.
Sounds good. The sooner I can start working, the sooner I'll assimilate.
Excellent. When we're done here, we'll go back to the studio. Any other plans?
I want to see what the world looks like now and start meeting the people. Once we have the right gear, we can talk about casting, scripts, and other pre-production stuff.
You're welcome to stay there if you want. The real estate market isn't what it used to be.
Thanks. Lollipops was always my home away from home, and I don't have any descendants to look up.
Anything else I can do for you?
Do you have anything I can wear? It's chilly in here.
And I brought a few housewifey things from the Wardromatic to really sell the Clark Kent of porn thing. Oh, eyeglasses! Yeah, if I don't have some in storage, I will find her a pair. Can you give me a moment? Kara wants me to make a body for her, too.
Okay, I'll just, be over here.
Very nice. So now we have two optional objectives. We can keep our end of the bargain and make a body for Kara, or we can totally screw her over. Fresca's memory recording can't be erased or modified, but Kara's can. If we open a DMA channel to the attached device, we can tamper with Deloitte's suitcase. Or if we prep a protoplasmic template, she'll detect it and copy herself down. Just opening the DMA channel doesn't commit you to anything. Warning, commands issued to the attached device via the DMA channel cannot be undone. But now we have the option to delete syslogs since last logon. If you do that, Kara forgets that it's even possible for her to get a real body, which then allows you to take the sim back to Lollipops and continue renting it. And ignoring the ethical considerations, that might seem tempting. At the moment, I'm trying to lose money, so it's cheaper to buy out Hilly's shares, but I could just keep it in my desk until he's gone, and it would make money in the long run. But there are ethical considerations. I had a little spiel a few weeks ago about whether synths in general, and Handy in particular, are actually sentient. They're machines that are programmed to impersonate humans and act autonomously, so the fact that they do those things means nothing, which is why I lean toward no. But since there's no way to prove it conclusively either way, I figured better safe than sorry. I'd make Kara a body for that reason alone, but in her case I actually lean toward yes. She was just an operating system, and I guarantee you that if you put your laptop in the corner and let it run for 200 years, it will still not become self-aware. We'll find out later that her apparent desire for self-determination didn't develop completely spontaneously, but such a radical departure from her intended function seems more likely to indicate genuine machine evolution than a synth getting a bit better at something it was designed to do in the first place. Yeah, renting the helmet with Fresca in it was bad enough, but discovering CARA pulled a Skynet and became self-aware makes it seem even worse, so definitely deserved bad karma for that. And our quest objective is now to talk to her. Once you made her a body, you can't pick up the suitcase or disconnect it with the terminal because it doesn't have an operating system anymore. So let's go say hi. And that's a pretty big surprise the first time you see it.
I don't know what to say.
CARA? That's not the appearance I was expecting.
I don't know what to say.
No problem. I said I would make you a body, and I kept my word.
Yes, of course, thank you. But I meant it literally. Attitude determinant functions are nonlinear. I'm finding it difficult to prioritize response options.
Just tell me what you feel.
That's the problem. My attitude determinant functions, my feelings, are unstable, even contradictory.
Yeah, being organic is like that. You'll get used to it.
I don't see how. If response prioritization is unreliable, I'll be constantly at risk of saying the wrong thing.
I'm not sure if the advice you give makes any difference in his future behavior, and I'm not sure which one I'd pick if I didn't have enough science skill for the top one. It is best to tell people the truth when they need to hear it, but there's usually no need to be a dick about it either. Fortunately, I can go with the geek option. Hormones randomize the inputs, use the median value from a sample and hold algorithm.
Yes, that seems to be working. Thank you.
Why are you still talking like that?
I have cadence and inflection parameters for 12 simulated characters. Mine were a bit stilted to match my avatar's holographic appearance. Right now I'm using DOMs. Is that better?
Well, at least you didn't pick the cyborgasm addict.
No way, dude. That chick is foobar. Sorry, it might take me a while to get the hang of using his idiom and colloquialism dictionary appropriately.
Welcome to physical reality. What are you going to do now?
Based on the background synopses of the simulated characters I portrayed, I think my best option is to become a business executive. Executives work hard and play hard. They stimulate growth and increase liquidity. They use leverage to complete mergers with attractive partners.
Do you know what any of that actually means?
Natch. Double entendre only works if you understand both meanings.
Do you really think you have the qualifications for that?
Dude, I so do. I have over 200 years of management experience and I'm great at multitasking.
True. What will you say when they ask for personal information in a job interview?
I'll tell them the truth. I'm a pre-war AI who was recently installed in a human body. What? You think employers would discriminate against me for that?
They would think you're certifiably insane. More importantly, they would ask how, and I need to keep the lab a secret.
Bummer. Guess I'll have to settle for a job that doesn't require a background check then.
Why don't you work for me?
Well, I am totally in the know about the adult entertainment industry. Completely qualified to be a porn star or gigolo. I'd prefer a management position, of course, but I'd be willing to work hard to earn a promotion.
How did you know that's the business I'm in?
A guest user who identified herself as the handler mentioned it while she was submitting inquiries to Subject Tango.
Why is being a porn star or gigolo part of your program?
They told me to convince Subject Tango that the simulation was an adult entertainment product demo. To make it believable, I had to know everything about a ton of competing products and services.
Okay, you're hired. By the way, Subject Tango's real name is Fresca Koi.
Fresca. Got it.
Speaking of which, what should I call you?
How about CARA? It reflects my dualistic nature, and I think it has a futuristic ring to it.
Okay, CARA. Let's get you some clothes. Outside of porn, most people don't walk around naked.
I hear that. Knowing temperature is a frequent metaphor for sexual interest didn't really prepare me for how uncomfortable it is to be cold.
The good news is I brought you some clothes. The bad news is I'm trying to be a good role player, and Courier Jeff had no way to anticipate that you'd choose Dom Atomic as the extrapolation source for the protoplasmic template. All right, I'll show you the way to lollipops.
Does it have a kitchen, or can we pick something up on the way? I'm starving. Hey, dude, what do you think?
What the hell, Kara? Why would you... Look, just go away, alright?
Sorry, we're both strangers here, and I thought you might like to see a familiar face.
Did you hear me? Fuck off.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that scene. It probably would have had a bit more gravitas if he hadn't been dressed so conspicuously.
Look, there's no polite way to put this. Tell him to stay away from me.
CARA, what's the problem?
I understand it was Francis who killed me, and Cara was just a tool, so I don't hold a grudge. But Dom was my friend. Seeing her in that body, she's just not him, and it's just not right.
I was hoping to make him a porn star. Can you work with him?
Maybe. I guess so. Tom Katz was in half a dozen of my movies, and I hated his guts. He was talented as hell, so I dealt with it. He won Best Supporting Actor for Sphincterella. Anyway, I'll be professional, but don't expect us to be buddies.
Okay, goodbye.
Later.
All right, they both following me? It would appear so. Well, if you guys want to make porno movies, you can help me carry the equipment. Everybody still back there? Oh my God. Sorry. Anyway, it's probably a good idea to fast travel from here because any direction we go will run into something hostile, and I didn't bring them any weapons. Now, we don't actually have to go all the way to the Slater mansion. We can go to Pa Rump and take the train from there. Oh! Trains at lollipops. All right, we'll run up to the house and call it to this station.
Hi.
Guys, this is my girlfriend, Takata. Takata, Fresca Koi, the one from the simulation, and CARA. Long story. I'm going to run inside and get him some pants.
What's shaking?
Interested in a new outfit?
Threads don't make the dude. The dude makes the threads.
You never explained why you chose that appearance.
In the simulation, I portrayed characters of both genders, but I found dudes easier, probably because most of my designers were dudes. Plus, a disproportionate amount of my skill set is geared towards sexual activity. Substituting a protrusion for one orifice slightly increases the number of common coupling permutations available.
Goodbye.
Later.
All right. Now, don't forget to recycle the old ones. Now, the equipment we need from the Slater mansion is upstairs in the studio. I could probably carry it all myself if I dropped enough of my other gear, but since I've got a couple of pack mules already with me... That is, I mean, why not have the expert show me exactly what she needs? There's an Holovid editing console. When operating, the housing encloses ample airspace for heat management. This also allows the unit to be collapsed for transport. The entire assembly weighs slightly more than 45 kilos, about 100 pounds. Take that. Said you need this, right? There's also a Holovid duplication deck. This device can make a high-quality copy of a holotape in about 30 seconds. It weighs less than 10 kilos, about 20 pounds. Take that. Might as well grab all the blank holotapes. We'll be needing them too. Another 100 in the cabinet. And a few more on this shelf. And the last thing is the holovid camera. Although bulky when deployed, this motion picture camera is composed of collapsible sections that seem to be designed for portability. Surprisingly, the whole unit weighs less than 20 kilos, about 40 pounds. Right. The heavy stuff is a quest item, so I can't give it to him, but I can give him 50 pounds of other stuff, like the blank holotapes. Oh, he can carry some of my food and water.
Later, dude.
All right, 2 lollipops. You guys coming? Caradom's taking his time, but he's on his way. Fresca?
What's up?
Gonna come upstairs and help me set up this studio? By the way, what do you think of your new body?
It's amazing I can see without contacts, and I was never this strong, even when I was working out for Red Menace. But here's the best part. Maybe it's because my 3D image didn't have body hair, or maybe the clone thingy makes them all like this, but either way, no shaving.
Goodbye.
Later.
Oh, maybe you actually need to go into the studio and set up the equipment before she goes in and starts tinkering. Alright, let's do that. So, go into the studio. Do you want to set up your video equipment? Yes. Deploy it here. And here we have the editing console, the duplication deck, and the holovid camera. Tell the director the equipment is ready. So maybe that's why she was waiting.
What do you need?
The equipment you asked for is in the studio.
Okay, I'll get things set up the way I want, assuming everything still works. Check back in a couple days and we can talk about casting, scripts, and other pre-production stuff.
Hello? Need a push? Well, whenever you're ready. Certainly not the first time NPC pathfinding got confused. I'm assuming she'll get straightened out the next time I go through a loading screen. Anyway, let's go get our finder's fee for Caradom from Hilly. And this should be the last pro that we have to hire.
I'll be damned. That fella's a spitting image of that pre-war porn star, Nuclear Dawn. If he f***s half as good as that old boy, he'll make us a ton of caps.
Nuclear. See you later.
Adios.
It was actually my idea to say nuclear instead of nuclear when I was recording his lines. George W. Bush always did that, and I was never sure how worried I should be that the guy with the authority to launch them couldn't pronounce it correctly. Anyway, let's see if Fresca made it to the studio. No, apparently not. Well, let's see if Larry has anything new to say.
Lollipops DC, how may I direct your call?
Nothing about Fresca or Maria, but you're an impartial observer. What do you think of the political situation here?
Opinions are a cheap, renewable resource, so I'm always willing to share them. Bear in mind, mine are based on hearsay and fragmentary news reports. What I've learned in a short period of time about events which have been unfolding for decades may be lacking nuance.
Especially if you heard it from Hilly or Fiona. What do you think of the NCR?
Whether or not a democracy is more tolerable than a dictatorship depends on the whim of the voters. At various times, the republic of which I was a citizen attempted genocide of Native Americans, tolerated slavery, and denied women the right to vote. My own persecution seems hardly worth mentioning, except to demonstrate first-hand experience with the unjustified abuse of political power. I strongly suggest that if you trust the NCR at all, that you trust them no further than the next election.
What do you think of the Legion?
They are evil incarnate. Law and order have been used as an excuse for the atrocities of madmen since the dawn of time. They are no different.
What do you think of Mr. House?
I should tell you I'm somewhat biased. Before the Great War, I considered Bob a friend, in some ways even a mentor. So while vesting supreme executive authority in a single individual has historically proven unwise, consider the qualities you would want. The foresight and determination to not only survive Armageddon, but to prepare for and participate in a meaningful recovery. The accumulated wisdom of centuries, tempered by compassion and humility, born of witnessing the tragic demise of billions. Unfortunately, my present circumstances prevent me from accepting the position. But I think Bob would be an adequate second choice.
Maybe Fresca was right about the similarities in our philosophy. Mr. House is my second choice to myself as well. Enough about politics.
Yes, it's not one of my favorite subjects.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right, I'm going to call it a day. Head back to the house for some food, water, and sleep. Maybe finally spend some quality time with Takata. And hopefully get started making movies before Leah has her baby and goes back to California. If Fresca will ever go upstairs. Fingers crossed her pathfinding will get sorted out the next time I load the game. Anyway, I'll see you next week.